Hey guys, thanks for checking out my International Tabletop Day report. Uh, Tabletop Day was on the 30th of April 2016 this year. Just a heads up, the reason why this is so late coming out is because I've had a really bad cough and a croaky voice for the last 2 or 3 weeks. But I've decided to plow through this, so here we go. Okay, so we had our event held in Harpenden this year, same as we did last year. Our friend Tony, he runs his gaming club there, and he kindly donated the hall to us for the day, which was awesome. Thanks, Tony. So we had about 24 to 26 people turn up, sort of give or take, which was great. It wasn't a big advertised event or something like that. It was more just of a private thing. With all our friends, most of the people you see on my videos, in fact, turned up, plus a few of our other friends and family. We turned up to play games all day. And that's exactly what happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the games I played on the day, and who I played with them, how they went, what I thought, what are my overall thoughts of the day. And then I'll show you some photos of the guys that were playing other games. And hope you enjoy it. So, to begin with, obviously early in the morning, we wanted to play something light to get started, got our coffees, and we started off the morning with Welcome to the Dungeon from my Yellow Games. It's just a small game. It's a little push your luck sort of game where you're just trying to get your adventure through the dungeon by basically doing better than the others. It's alright. It's not a bad game, but it's a good game to start with. You know, just getting to know people, getting to see what people want to play on the day. Nice little game to start off with. After that, we played a game that I've never even heard of before. So thanks, Dave, for showing us Beastie Bar. I can't remember who this was from, but it's a really interesting game. You're basically playing you have a deck of cards of all have different animals with different powers, and you're trying to basically line up in a queue to get into a nightclub. Person with the most animals in the nightclub wins. But the animals will have different powers. Like, for example, the crocodile will eat all the smaller animals in front of him, or the giraffe. I can't remember what the giraffe does, but like, for instance, the chameleon copies a power of someone in the line, that sort of thing. It was actually quite a fun game, really interesting, really bizarre. But yeah, I'll definitely play that again. I really enjoyed that. After that, there was a game that Mike Nudd brought with, which I really wanted to try because I love Greek mythology. In fact, I love mythology in general, Roman, Greek, whatever. And the artwork on this game was phenomenal. So I really, really, really wanted to try it. We played a 3-player first of Monstrous. What it is literally you have a couple of locations on the board. You have a deck of cards with different creatures in, and you basically on your turn you sort of flinging them at the table to try and land on the locations, which will then give you victory points or abilities or whatever the case may be. Obviously, some of the creatures might have attacking abilities, so that when you land on another creature, you can attack them. It's quite fun actually. The 3-player worked really, really well. It's nice and quick, nothing too difficult. So we got through that game pretty quickly. Then we went, Barney and Molo joined us for a 5-player. And as much as I like the 3-player, and I think a 4-player might be pushing it, the 5-player was not so good. The reason being is, you can imagine each person in the deck has, let's say, 10 cards. And each person's flinging a card at these 4 or 5 locations. They start getting crowded pretty quickly. I mean, someone throws a card onto a deck of onto a pile of cards that says gain 2 victory points for each creature this is touching. You have to spend like 5-6 minutes just trying to decipher what's underneath these cards. You know, what was the location's ability underneath that. It got really messy really quickly on a 5-player game. But don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. I thought 3-player worked really well. I think a 2-player might even work well with this as well. So maybe one to look at for myself. After that, I mean, we played 3 or 4 light games at this point, so we wanted to get a little meatier games under our belt for the day. And obviously, I've not played Tricerian yet. Mike brought that with, and he wanted to try it, so we thought definitely give that a go. We had Rob and Mick join us for that. All three of Rob, Mick, and myself have not played this before. Mike, I think, played it once. So we weren't brilliant at it, but we got through the rules because it's quite meaty on the rules. But actually, the gameplay is pretty simple. And I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. I'm trying to think who won this. I think Mike actually smashed us in this. Rob came second. I think I came third, and Mick last. Then of course it was time for Blood Rage. We played a 5 player game of Blood Rage. Mike had not played it before, but I think everyone else at the table had played it at least once. It was a pretty brutal game. Obviously, as 5 players are, the board is obviously very crowded, a lot going on. Ashen won this. I can't remember exactly his score, but he beat me by 1 point. What was interesting about that was the fact that we both had the same strategy, which was basically the Loki strategy of where you gain victory points every time someone comes out of Valhalla, and of course we had the ship thing. Every time ships die, you gain victory points as well. And I also had the sea serpent creature, which counts as a ship, so I was gaining a lot of victory points from that. Ashton was gaining victory points from those, and we outstripped the other three guys quite easily, which is always a little concern for me. I mean, I like Blood Rage. I think it's a great looking game, and it's pretty fun to play. But I'm not convinced it's all, the rage, excuse the pun, that it's supposed to be. I mean, I seem to think that every time someone goes with the Loki strategy, they do really well, and everything else is kind of a sort of a second place mechanic. Well, that's just a rough thought. I mean, I still enjoy the game a lot. So that was two reasonably long 5 player games in a row. So we went on to play something else. I saw this game on the pool table called Pixel Glory. I like the look of it. It looked quite interesting. So I wanted to try it, and I wish I didn't. It was a poor game. I mean, the pixelated graphics and stuff looked interesting, and I like the idea of building up your deck and then going into the dungeon to destroy the creatures. Unfortunately, the gameplay was very, very lacking. I mean, I just didn't feel there was any meat to this game. It's literally all the cards do roughly the same thing: deal 3 damage, deal 2 damage, deal 1 damage, draw a card, that sort of thing. And then, of course, when you go into the dungeon creatures don't do anything. It's like running into like shooting ducks in a barrel. I mean, literally, we're just panel beating these creatures every turn. They don't do damage back to you. They don't run away. They don't do anything. They just sit there until the last person kills them. It was boring. So I won't be playing that again. Um, we played another game of Greed. I've played this quite a few times this year. I taught Dave how to play this. Fair play to him. I mean, he wasn't quite that interested to begin with. He had a look at it and then thought, no, I don't know about this. But halfway through the game, he was like, actually, you know what? This is not too bad. I actually like it. And it's quite a fun game, actually, Greed. I mean, it's literally just drafting cards, playing cards to gain the most money, trying to come up with some sort of combination of things to get you the most money. It's actually not bad. The artwork is not that great. Components are just laminated cards, basically. But it's still a pretty fun, interesting game. I tend to like games where you have to try and make as much money as you can. Then we played a game of Elder Sign. Now, I've not played Elder Sign in a long, long, long time. I mean, probably since the base game came out. But I saw it on the table, and then I just got drawn to it for a bit. So I picked it up, put it at the table. Ashen and Molo joined me, and we played against, I can't remember the demon's name, but there's a picture coming up. You can pause it and have a check. I actually enjoyed it. Just remembered why I like this game, and we actually got absolutely battered. I mean, we were doing really well at one point. At least I was doing really well, and then it got to the point where the big demon thing woke up and ate us one by one. At this point, it was getting quite late in the day, and I had some other things to do the next day, so I had time for one more game. And a couple of my friends, Dave and Kerry, turned up, and I had been arranging a game with them for quite a while now, and I asked them to bring along Besieged with, because I'm a big minis guy, as you may have noticed if you're watching this. I'm a big minis guy. This game is packed full of minis. But when I saw the Kickstarter, I wasn't quite convinced how much of a game there was actually in this box. I like tower defense, I like fantasy themes, I like miniatures, so it seems like it's right up my street. But I decided not to back it in the end. So when Dave said he'd bring it around for me to try, I was quite happy to give it a go. And I must admit, it was quite fun. I enjoyed it. Supposedly it's quite hard. I mean, I think David said he's played at least half a dozen times and not won once. Especially when the avatar turns up, it basically puts a spanner in the works. We played a four-player game, and we started off similar to how they start off with most of their games, where we're starting to do well, clearing the way for the messenger to get out. Then the avatar turned up, thanks to me, and he absolutely took a shoeing. We actually focused everything we could on him, and we managed to beat him. But of course, because we focused so much energy on him, obviously a lot of the other creatures started moving up and causing a lot of damage to our castle. But we managed to clear the way with some lucky cards coming up from the tower, magical tower, to get the messenger into the tower and succeed in our mission. What was funny about that is that the messenger came back. We succeeded in the mission, defeating all the evil demons from wherever the hell they came. But the castle was absolutely destroyed. There was literally one space left, which I can't remember. Was it the market? Or was it the smuggler's hideout or something like that? That was the only place left in the castle that was still standing. Everything else was destroyed. So that was quite fun. Yeah, so that was all the games I played. I think it was 10 games in all, which is really good. I mean, playing 10 games at any time is really good. I would have probably liked to have done a little bit more, but for some reason, time just flies when you say having fun. I'm definitely looking forward to next year to play again. But before all those other things, we have some other events coming up, like the Birmingham Expo. So there's plenty more time for me to play games. I really enjoyed the day. I thank everyone who played games with me and who had a good time that day. So you can check out some more photos of some of the other games the guys were playing. And thanks for watching.